welcome back to the second instalment of my build diary for my Stone Roses tribute Pitbull Guitars RC1. In today's instalment, I'm simply going to get my headstock shaped using a template I've now come up with, and get my body prepared for paint. And what that means is basically to get it sanded down to about 800 grit so that I can get the undercoat on it. So that's about it. Let's get started. In terms of the headstock, I've kind of agonised over it for a few days. I've come up with a few templates. I wasn't sure whether I wanted the traditional Rickenbacker your kind of shark's fin shape that Rickenbacker 330s have. But you know, I played around with a few convex shapes, and I didn't really want a Gibson style headstock for this shaped guitar. And no matter what I came up with, I really wasn't as happy with it as I was with the traditional Rickenbacker shape. So that's what I'm going with. I'm playing around with two different styles. I've got a very severe Rickenbacker shark's fin kind of shape that goes all the way to the top of the headstock blank here, and it dives right down to just above the top tuner there. The other option is a less severe template. Doesn't go up quite as high. It's about 1 centimetre from the top of the blank, and it doesn't dive down quite as close to the tuner there. I think I'm going to go with this less severe template, just because it's, you know, it's a bit more middle of the road. The main thing for me though is to make sure that my headstock decal has enough clearance from the tuners to the top of the design. That's really the main thing. The other thing I've got to watch out for is that I did basically trace around the headstock with a pencil, laying it flat, but the marks I've got for my tuner holes don't quite match up to the template. So I've got to be careful of that when I do the cutting, that I make sure I line up at least these top two tuner holes so that the clearance is enough. If I put my headstock decal on there, it looks pretty good, I think. This is a gold decal, vinyl decal that I've had pre-made. And that's it really. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to trace around. I've kind of just drawn this curve freehand because at the end of the day, once I've cut it out, I can shape it to a nice curve, either with a belt sander or a bastard file. So that's what I'm going to do. Just trace it with a pencil, cut it close-ish to the line with a jigsaw, and then tidy it up. That's about it. And then we can get onto the sanding. So let's get in and do that now. Okay, so I've relocated to my high-tech carpenter's workshop here in Holgate, and what I'm ready to do now is to take my headstock design, get it transferred onto the blank, and get it cut out with my trusty jigsaw here. So let's get stuck into it. I put some carpet down on my trusty sawhorse so that I don't bugger up my headstock too much. Grab my clamp. Okay, I only need the top half of the sign. I'm going to make sure the tuner holes line up with those that are on the design. Yep, okay, that's good enough. And just freehand it in. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so that's cut pretty well with the jigsaw. I haven't stayed, I stayed away from the line about a couple of mil, and now I'll have to take that down to the line with something, maybe a file, or I've got a belt sander here. I think I'll give that a go. But yeah, I think it looks okay, and we're almost done. Okay, so I've brought out my belt sander, and now I'm just going to trim off this curve and get it down to where I mark the line. Make it nice and smooth, round off the corners. Let's do it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. It's a little bit got a bit hot there, but the curves are pretty good. I'm liking the way it looks, and I think it'll come up great with a bit of sanding. So let's get back to the man cave and get some sandpaper on it. Okay, so here we are back in the man cave. I'm sure watching me use the belt sander was you know, boring as batshit really, so you know, I apologise for that. What I've got to do now is even more sanding, so you know, I don't really want to put you through that either. What with all this, the amount of sanding I have to do, I'm sure you guys really don't want to watch that either. So I thought what I'd do is I'd just describe to you what I'm going to do to the body and the neck, and yeah, then I'll just get on with it. I've got, what, 1, 2, 4, 5 grits here that I'm going to work my way through. So for the top of the headstock, where we've got a bit of, you know, it's gotten a bit black from the belt sander, I've got a bit of 80 grit and 240 grit sandpaper, only a few little swatches, unfortunately. But I'm going to use that just to take that, that layer off the top of the headstock, just to get rid of the burnt areas, and to, you know, just to finish off the curve. So once I've done that, I'm going to start with 360, go up to 400, 600 and 800 grits. And by that stage, everything should be really nice and smooth. When I get to about, say, 400 grit, I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to fill the pores of the wood with some pore filler. What I tend to use for that is an Australian product called Timbermate. Just water it down to a slurry, and you know, rub it into the pores of the wood, sand it back. I might do that twice at 400 grit and see how it looks and feels, whether it's nice and smooth. I may cover that later on for anyone who's interested. Apart from that, it's really just sanding, and more sanding, and you know, that's it. Got to get on with it. I always, you always got to sand with the grain. That's the important thing. So with these bodies, at least the grain's really easy to see. And when you're doing around the sides, the end grain, you know, just going this way, around the outside of the body. It's just important to get it sanded so that there's no more machining marks. You can see, I can see at least, you know, on this end grain, you can see definite gouges from where the wood was shaped. So, you know, it's important to get as many of those out as possible with the lower grades before moving up to the higher grades, 400, 600 and so on. So that's it, that's the plan. I'll see you again at 400 grit, and we'll talk about the Timbermate process.